السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Inshallah, tonight we will continue with our seerah, the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And in our last dars, the last session we had of the seerah, we discussed about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam under the care of his uncle Abu Talib. So we also mentioned about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at his early age when he went on a journey to Syria with his uncle Abu Talib, where he met a monk, a Christian monk called Bahira, who informed Abu Talib that young Muhammad, he will become a prophet. And Abu Talib, he asked him, why do you say that this young boy will become a great prophet and so on? He mentioned, when you were coming at the direction of Al-akh, I saw that the stones and the trees, they were prostrating when this young boy was passing besides those stones and trees. And he also mentioned another sign where he said, I recognized the seed of prophethood which was on the shoulder of the young boy. So he mentioned that sign which was the seal of prophethood. It has been mentioned in our previous books, the Injil and Torah. That's why I recognized him as he will become the last prophet. So we also mentioned at the first age where he started working for a woman named Khadijah radiallahu anha. So tonight, inshallah, we will discuss about the marriage of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with Khadijah radiallahu anha. And we will also discuss about the rebuilding of the Kaaba and also the arbitration issue during the rebuilding of Kaaba. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he returned to Mecca from the trade journey to Syria as by the request of Khadijah radiallahu anha. As we discussed about in our last dars, we said that Khadijah, she was a wealthy woman, and she was the daughter of a man named Khuwaylid. So Khadijah, she had wealth, she was from a noble lineage, and in her trade and all those, she used to hire men, she used to employ men to do her biddings and her trade on her behalf. So she used to send men to travel on her trade journeys so that she can acquire those goods, and she used to engage in an agreement with those men that if you engage this business with me, I will give you a certain profit from this business of mine. So one day she had the reputation of a young man named Muhammad, that he was a man of honesty. He was also a trustworthy, al-amin. When she had all of those reputation of this young man, she called him and she started to hire him. So she informed him of her request. And then young Muhammad, at the age of 25, he did what? He agreed her request, and so Khadijah, she sent young Muhammad with her maid servant called Maysara, along with him on that trade journey. So she sent him. So at this time, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he returned to Makkah after that trade journey that Khadijah sent him, Khadijah, she started to notice in her money more profits and also more blessings. That these blessings and more profit, she didn't ever gain in her business before this young Muhammad has done also her maid servant, Maysara, he also told her of Muhammad's good manners, honesty, the deep sincerity and faith in this young man when he went with him. So Maysara, he witnessed during this journey that he went that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a good businessman. He engaged with other businessmen and women in a good manner. He was a trustworthy person on all those characters. So this Maysara, he reported back to his master Khadijah, informing of all those things. So Khadijah, as we mentioned, she was a prominent female who was from a noble lineage. She was very wealthy, and also many men had asked for her hand in marriage, but she always denied the proposals of those men. So when Khadijah was informed of those characters and she gained more profit in this trade journey, she disclosed her wish to marry the Prophet to her friend called Nafisa, who was the daughter of Mania. And this Nafisa, her friend, when she came to know about Khadijah, her wish wanting to marry Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she immediately went to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and she broke the good news to him. She told Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Khadijah, she wants to marry you. So she went to propose on her behalf of her friend Khadijah, this woman Nafisa. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he agreed that request and that proposal from Khadijah, and he started to call his uncles, and he informed them of this proposal that came from Khadijah, and he told his uncles to go to the house of Khadijah, to go and meet the uncles of Khadijah radiallahu anha, to talk about the issue of their marriage. So, and then the marriage happened, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave 20 camels as a dowry in the marriage with Khadijah. He gave 20 camels as a dowry. So Khadijah, at that time, they mentioned that she was at the age of 40 years. And also, she was a person who was, she had an experience of a marriage before. So, Khadijah, at that time when she married, she was 40 years old, and she was considered as the best woman of her folk in lineage. So, and it is mentioned that in the marriage, Khadijah and Rasulullah in the marriage, she gave birth to all the children of Rasulullah except Ibrahim. Ibrahim was the son of a woman that Rasulullah married called Maria bint Khibt. Maria of the, she was an Egyptian from the Copts. So all the children that Khadijah gave birth to were Qasim, Abdullah. Those were the Qasim and Abdullah, the two sons that Khadijah gave birth to, and she also gave birth to all the daughters of Rasulullah who were Ruqayya, Kulthum, Fatima, and she also gave birth to Zaynab. So it's being mentioned that all the sons of Rasulullah they died in the childhood era. They died while they were very young. But the daughters, all of them died on the lifetime of Rasulullah except Fatima, who died after Rasulullah died. She died 6 months after the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So when all those happened, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was at the age of 35 years old, it is then at this age that happened a great incident. What was this great incident? It was the incident of the rebuilding of the Kaaba, the renovation of the Kaaba by the Quraysh. So the Quraysh, they wanted to rebuild the Kaaba that was already built by who? by Nabiullah Ibrahim and Nabiullah Ismail. So they wanted to improve the building of the Kaaba, to renovate it, because it's being mentioned, the Kaaba, it was a low, at that time, it was a building that was a low building of white stones, no more than 6.30 meters from the days of Nabiullah Ismail. And it's also being mentioned that the Kaaba, it was a roofless Kaaba. It didn't have any roof at the top of it. It was roofless. And because of this, it was prone for thieves to enter. Because the Kaaba, the Quraysh, they used to place their treasures. Whatever they used to treasure, they used to place inside the Kaaba. So it was, because it didn't have any roof, the thieves used to get those chances. They used to climb and enter the Kaaba because there was no roof. And it is also mentioned why they wanted to rebuild. The other reason they wanted to rebuild was that the Kaaba, it was an old, it became very old and weary, that it gave up with the factors of nature, like winds, floods, and so on. It was prone to it, and so they noticed some cracks on the walls of the Kaaba. That is the other reason they wanted to rebuild the Kaaba. And it's also being mentioned that 5 years before they wanted to rebuild, 5 years ago, there was a great flood that happened in Mecca. And this great flood in Mecca, that flood swept towards the Kaaba and almost demolished the Kaaba. But Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah was the protector of the Kaaba. He even protected, before this, he protected from a tyrant governor to demolish the Kaaba, who was Abraha. So Allah Azza wa Jal ordained and destined that the Kaaba will not be destroyed at that time. So the Quraysh, they felt that they need to renovate it to overcome all of those challenges. So, and the Quraysh, the main reason that they wanted to rebuild the Kaaba, it was because the Kaaba, they wanted to safeguard the holiness of the Kaaba and its position that it had among the Quraysh. The Kaaba, it was a place for a pilgrimage that the other Arabs in other lands, like in Syria, in Yemen, and all those lands, in Egypt and so on, they used to come to the Kaaba to do what? Pilgrimage. So they used to come to do pilgrimage in the Kaaba. So the Kaaba was very important for the Quraysh. So the chiefs of the Quraysh, all the chiefs of the Quraysh, they decided to use only illicit money, halal money, to rebuild the Kaaba. Because in rebuilding the Kaaba, it needed finance. The people that will work on the rebuilding, they need to be paid. So the Quraysh, they say, for us to pay them, we need to engage in what? In halal money to rebuild the Kaaba. To renovate the Kaaba, we must engage and give them halal money. So these Quraysh, they contributed all the halal money that they had. When I say halal, they excluded the money acquired from riba, from other unlawful means, from robbery and all those. They excluded the wealth gained from those ways because they regarded the Kaaba as being a holy building. So the Quraysh, when they wanted to rebuild, there was no Quraysh that had the courage to demolish the walls of the Kaaba so that he can rebuild. They feared to do so because before this, they knew that there were people that wanted to destroy the Kaaba, but they were destroyed by the one who is protecting the Kaaba. So when they agreed all those and they wanted to demolish the walls of the Kaaba so that they can rebuild, they feared to do so. No one was able to do that except a man who came forward and he started to demolish one of the walls of the Kaaba. And this man was Al-Walid bin Al-Mughira. He started to work to demolish the Kaaba, and when the others noticed that there's nothing that happened to this man when he did that, they started to engage with him. They started to demolish the walls so that they can rebuild. So it is being mentioned that they destroyed the walls of the Kaaba until they reached the basis laid by Nabiullah Ibrahim alayhi salam, the foundation where Nabiullah Ibrahim, when he was building the Kaaba, the foundation stage, that is where these Quraysh they reached when they demolished the walls of the Kaaba, and they left the foundation to be there. So these Quraysh, when they were engaging in the rebuilding of the Kaaba, they divided the work that they were engaging among the tribes of Quraysh. So every tribe was given a responsibility. Every tribe had a responsibility, had a work to do in the matter of rebuilding the Kaaba. So the work were distributed among all the tribes that resided in Mecca near the Kaaba. So the man who laid the stones, there was a man from among the Quraysh who was the leader, the architect, the leader, who was the leader of the ones were those who were rebuilding. Now this man is being referred as, he was called Baqum. This Baqum, he was a Roman Mason. He was from the Roman Empire, and he was called Baqum. He was not among the Quraysh, the one who was founding the architect of when they wanted to rebuild the Kaaba. So the Quraysh, because of them, they were not advanced, but the other neighboring empires, like the Byzantine or the Roman Empire, the Persian, they were more developed at that time. They were more developed. So the Quraysh, they used to be nomads, so they did not know how, in matters of renovation of all those. So they started to seek help, and they sought help from this man called Baqum, who was the leader of the architecture. So he was the one who laid more foundation of the rebuilding of the Kaaba. So the rebuilding of the Kaaba, that work that they were doing of rebuilding, it went on harmony. Each tribe, they were helping each other in rebuilding the Kaaba until it came to the place, until it came to how when they wanted to restore the black stone to its original place. So this black stone, we need to understand, where did it come from? This black stone, it is mentioned before that when Nabiullah Ibrahim was building the Kaaba, this stone, it came from where? Heaven. Angel Jibril alayhi salam was the one who brought that stone so that they can fix it in that place. And that stone is being mentioned that it became black due to the sins of humankind. Due to the sins, it became black because of that. It's being mentioned in the books of Sirah, the early books of Sirah, that it became black due to the sins of mankind. So, when the Quraysh, they were rebuilding, and they reached the phase where they need to restore the black stone to its original place, it is when every tribe and the chiefs of the tribes, they strived the one who will restore that black stone to its original place. So each chief wanted to restore the black stone to its original place. So there came a strife amongst them. And this strife is being mentioned that it could have led a bloodshed. Every tribe wanted to unsheath their sword and fight for the honor of restoring the black stone to its original place, until there came a man among the oldest chiefs among them, who was called Al-Mughira Al-Makhzumi, Abu Umayyah Al-Mughira Al-Makhzumi. A man called by that name was the one who said, I had a solution. And that solution he gave, all of the chiefs of the tribes, they accepted that proposal. And what was this proposal? The proposal was that he said, let the one who will be the first to enter the Kaaba tomorrow morning, let him be the judge concerning this matter. So all the tribes, they accepted this proposal of this man. So they say, let us be judged by the one who will enter the Kaaba, be the first one who will enter the Kaaba at the morning. Let him be, tomorrow's morning, let him be the one who will judge concerning this matter. So Allah Azza wa Jal ordained and willed that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will be the first to enter the Kaaba when it comes tomorrow morning. So when the people of Quraysh, when morning arrived and they all went to the Kaaba, they found Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the first one to be there. So when all of them, they saw that this man was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of them at once, they shouted, Al-Amin, the trustworthy has come. Let us, we are consented, we are willed to be judged by his opinion. So they all submitted to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam judgment that he will give, because he was famously known as Al-Amin, trustworthy. He was a person of good character, honesty. So the Quraysh, they said, we will be contented to be judged by this man named by the name Al-Amin, trustworthy, who was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, at that time, he was calm and he self-composed. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he resolved this matter of them by the wisdom given by Allah Azza wa Jalla. So Rasulullah, he gave them a solution. And what was this solution? Rasulullah, he asked the chiefs of the Quraysh to bring a cloth, a big cloth, a white cloth, which was very long. And when it was brought to him, he placed it to the ground, and he uncovered the cloth until he spread it to the whole ground at that time. And then he started to call for the black stone to be placed at the center of that cloth. So the black stone was placed at the center of that cloth. When it was placed at the center of that cloth, he then called for each tribe to give a representative amongst them. So each tribe, they gave a representative to go forward, to go to that cloth. And what did they do? Rasulullah commanded them to carry that cloth at the same time. So together at the same time. So they carried that cloth that at its center it was the black stone, right? So they carried that white cloth until they reached the place where it needs to be placed, at its rightful place in the building of the Kaaba. That is when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he started to lay on his blessed hands. He started to place that black stone on its original place. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the one who restored that black stone with his own hands in its rightful place. But the ones who carried until to the place was every tribe's representatives. So this is how each tribe, they were contented of this solution that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he gave the solution to that tense situation and was resolved by the wisdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Quraysh were contented, it is then when the Quraysh, they ran short of the halal money that they had. We mentioned that the rebuilding the Kaaba, they made the decision that they will use only halal money. So at this time, when the Kaaba was almost complete, they ran short of the halal money that they contributed and that they collected. So what did they do? This Quraysh, when they started to realize that, and amongst them was the architecture called, that we mentioned, the Roman architecture, he gave a solution. He said, because we have become lack of funds to rebuild, to finish the Kaaba, he started to say that let us eliminate 6 yards area on the northern side of the Kaaba. So they eliminated, the Quraysh, they eliminated 6 yards area on the northern side of the Kaaba, Al-Hatim. So they eliminated that part so that they needed to finish, they needed to complete the renovation. So the Quraysh, they completed the renovation of the Kaaba. And by doing so, the Quraysh, they made a door for the Kaaba, which was 2 meters high, and this door, they destined only the people who are allowed, the personnel that are allowed to enter, the ones who they decide only can enter from this door to the Kaaba. So at this time when they did that they restored a door which was 2 meters high for the Kaaba, and also they placed a roof which was a big roof for the Kaaba, which rested on the 6 columns of the Kaaba. And also the building of the Kaaba was then perfectly renovated, and they finished building the Kaaba. And that is how the Kaaba was rebuilt. The Kaaba was renovated. This Kaaba that we are seeing right now, it passed many phases. The foundational step was Nabi Ibrahim and Nabi Ismail. And then it was renovated at the time of Rasulullah when he was at the age of that 5 years old. And it will later continue to be renovated until in our modern time. So, inshallah, in our next dars we will discuss about the first phase of the prophethood of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is in the cave of Hira. We'll discuss about how prophethood was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we'll also mention the first revelation that will be revealed to him by Angel Jibril alayhi salam on the cave of Hira. We'll discuss into details, inshallah, in our next dars. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والله أعلم، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.